Hi, I'd like to continue with my discussion of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And in this video, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce some basic concepts to responsive web design. Okay? So far I have a simple HTML document and I've linked to a style sheet. Okay? I'm going to remove the style tag here, and I'm going to remove the inline style also. It's best practice to keep all the styles in an external style sheet. This is just the most flexible and organized way to do it. Using the style tag and the inline styles is sort of good for certain specific situations, but we don't want to start there, okay? And I'm actually going to remove the content here in the body tag. And what I'd like to do is just lay down some basic concepts, okay? And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a div and give it a class name, okay? And I'll just call it box, okay? I'm going to use class names for everything. With style sheets, I never use IDs, and I think that that's best practice, okay? Save your IDs for your JavaScript. And what I want to do is I want to create a row of 3 boxes. Okay, so I'll copy that box and paste it 3 times, right? And I want to line the boxes up horizontally. So let's set down just a basic idea here, okay? So let's switch to our style sheet. And what I need to do is I need to make these boxes visible on the page because otherwise they're empty right now. There's no content, right? So normally we'd have some text and pictures and things inside those boxes, but just for this, we'll give them a background color and then a height, okay? And a width, right? So what we'll do is we'll say dot box. So when we use a class name to access that class or select that class, the selector for it is the dot followed by the class name, right? So to select this element here as class box, we use dot box, right? And now the rule for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say box, you are going to be width 300 pixels, okay? And then I'll say height, 100 pixels, okay? And so all the boxes will be this size, right? Okay, so, and then let's give it a background color. We need a background color. So we'll set the background color to red. And then I'll go to the browser here and I'll refresh, and you can see those are my boxes. They're actually stacked up here, right? But those are the boxes, right? So that looks okay, but I want them aligned horizontally. So how do I fit them in here horizontally, right? Well, I could give them, a width of like, let's say 100, right? So now they'll be, or maybe 200, so they'll be narrower. And then what I can also do is I can say float, okay? And I'm going to float them left. And what this will do, float left like this, right? And what it'll do is it'll move the boxes to the top of the page and then slide them all over to the left. And then it'll kind of align them all in a row until there isn't any space, and then the next one would go on the next line. Okay, so let's test it now. Oh, so there we got 1, 2, oh wait, and then this box is over here. I'm kind of zoomed in on the browser, so you can see as I zoom out, oh, the box over here now can go to the end. It's hard to see the separation between them. Let's put a border on them, okay? So I'll say, border, 1 pixel, solid black. How about that? Okay. So we'll save it, and then we'll refresh it here and test again. Oh, yeah, so there's box 1, 2, and 3, right? So that looks okay. But what if I want the boxes to fill the entire space, right? I want them to take up the whole space. I don't want to have an uneven amount of space on the right side here, okay? So what am I going to do? Well, instead of setting the width to 200, what I can do is I can set the width to, let's say, 33%, right? So, if each box is 33%, that makes it about 1/3 of the entire width of the container, right? So let's save it, and we'll refresh it here. Now you can see everybody fits, right? Now, this is a little bit artificial, right? Because really, each of these boxes now is 33% plus 2 pixels. 1 pixel for the border on the left and 1 pixel for the border on the right. Okay, let's do it again. So I made it 33%, so that's actually 99% of the entire width of the browser, and that actually, that 1% actually gives us enough space where the extra border space, right, isn't filling out the end, right? What if I made the width 33.333%, right? Now when I refresh, you can see there's not enough space on the right side for this box, because at 33.333%, the 1 pixel border makes the boxes too big to fit, right? Because the width that you're setting, the width here is the width of the box, and the box model, the basic box model, says that when you add a border, it increases the width, right? So the width effectively is 33% plus the 2 pixels, border, 1 pixel on the left and 1 pixel on the right. Okay, so how do we deal with that, right? So here's a really interesting idea, and I get a lot of mileage out of this. I really like it. It's called calc. So what if we wanted to do a little bit of math? Like I'm going to move this border up here just so we can see it with the width, right? So what if I wanted the width of the boxes to be 33%, right, less the 2 pixels here? Okay, so what will we do? Well, what we'd do is we'd say calc, okay, like this. And calc allows you to do math in your CSS. So what I'm going to say is let's calculate 33% and then minus 2 pixels. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm subtracting the 2 pixels here. This says 1, but remember there's a pixel on the left and a pixel on the right, right? So I'm going to subtract the 2 pixels from the 33% value. Okay, so let's save that, and then we'll go back to the browser here. Oh, now everybody fits, right? And what's great about this is, this will work for anything, right? So now let's say I like the border, but what I also want to do is I want to add a margin of 10 pixels, right? So now the margin, when I save it and I refresh it, that's going to cause a problem again, because now, the total width of each of these boxes is 33% plus 20 pixels, right? So 33% plus 20, because there's 10 pixels on the left and 10 on the right. So now they're too big and there's not enough space here. And I can see that this box is a lot larger than the space that's left over there. So what can we do here? Well, if this is 10 pixels on the left and 10 on the right, we got 20 pixels. So what if we subtracted 22 pixels from the 33%? Oh, and now everybody fits, right? So there's calc, right? You can use this in a lot of places, and there's a lot of different ways to use this. And you can use it for anything. If you want to calculate, the font size, or pretty much any numbers, right? And the beauty, if you didn't notice here, the real beauty of calc is that you can mix the units. So essentially this 33% value is using percent as a unit, and this 22 value is using pixels as a unit. And you can do anything with this. Like, for example, if I liked what I had here, but what I wanted to do is, and let's take the border off for a moment, right? What if, I wanted to do the margin, but instead of doing pixels, I wanted to use ems, right? So maybe I want to do a border of 1 em. Well, over here, I could change the value to 2em, right? 1em on the left and 1 on the right, and I can subtract ems instead of pixels from the percent. Okay, let's save that and test it again. Oh, it works just fine. So anyway, I hope that introduces calc to you and gives you some ideas on how to use calc to calculate widths from percent values. Now, what's nice about the percent value too is this gets us started on responsive design. Is as I shrink the size of the screen, you can see that the percentage value allows the boxes to change size, like as the window changes sizes, right? And you'll notice the margin here is fixed. It doesn't change size, right? Because I set it to a fixed value of 1em, right? Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that is useful to you.